Hi, everyone. I am really excited to welcome you to the first program of our Career Insights series week on teaching in independent schools. I am Diane Hull. I work in Career Services. I'm one of the senior associate directors who works with graduate students and postdocs in 9 of Penn schools. And so we are really excited to have all of you with us today to learn a little bit more about teaching in independent schools. I want to provide a friendly reminder that there are 2 other programs later this week. I will drop the links to those in the chat. While we're getting started, I would love for students or alums who are in the meeting today to just drop in the chat and tell us what program you're in here at Penn. It's always nice for our speakers to hear a little bit about what program you're from. So please jump in the chat and introduce yourself. We are really excited to have all of you here today. So if you want to do that, that would be great. And I'm going to turn it over to our lead speakers today from Carney Sandoe and Associates, Rebecca Stern and Anya Peterson. Take it away, Rebecca and Anya. And students, if you have questions, you are welcome to drop them in the chat and I will sort of pop in and share your questions with our panelists, or you are welcome to unmute yourself if you would like to ask a question as well. So take it away.
I will introduce myself first. I'm Anya Peterson. I'm one of the senior recruitment coordinators at Carney Sandoe. I'm kind of your first point of contact through working with us and getting you introduced to everyone on our team. And so I will hand it off to Becca. She's one of our placement associates, so she would be kind of your next connection in line after me.
Yeah. Thanks, Anya. Hi, I'm Becca Stern. It's my 6th year at Carney Sandoe. I currently do lead all history, social studies searches, but throughout my career, I've done pretty much everything, every subject area except for science and math. So if you're a humanities or arts person, I've done the work that you'd be working with. My job at Carney Sandoe is to help you get connected with schools and get your resume at the top of the pile. We're going to talk a lot about what Carney Sandoe does and how we can help, and our job and just independent schools in general. So excited to be here today chatting with you. As Diane mentioned, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but this is going to be also a very informal conversation. So if you also want to unmute yourself, and feel free to also do that. We will have a Q&A session at the end as well.
Thank you, Becca. Awesome. So I will just jump right in and start with our presentation. Here we go. So a little bit of some background on Carney Sandoe. So we're an education recruitment organization that started back in the 70s, and our role is to really help you, the job seekers, find roles in K-12 independent schools. We work with schools nationwide. So if you have an interest in looking in schools on the East Coast, but also curious about some opportunities in the West Coast or down South, we'll be able to kind of show you everything and where your search is. And so as Beck gave a little brief overview, she's at one of our history placement. She leads our history placement team, and our placement team is divided by subject area. So depending on the subject area that you're interested in and want to teach in, you'll be matched with a placement associate and work with that team one-on-one. And they really serve as your mentor, advocate, and job search consultant during your job search. So a little bit of the breakdown of the team, myself as the senior recruitment coordinator, and we also have the placement team. We do have some like marketing and operations folks as well, but these are the main points of contact that you'll be working with. Some topics that we'll go over today, on top of some other ones if anyone has any questions, but going over the general, what are independent schools, what does CSNA do, and what do schools look for? And then a little bit of our process. So step-by-step timeline of a candidate experience would be right now having an info session. And then after this, having, a one-on-one conversation with a placement associate or myself to really understand your job search and what it is that you're looking for in a school, and in an opportunity. That being said, geographic preference is something that we look at that I had mentioned. Of course, that core subject area that you're looking, that you want to have a position in. And within that, if you have any specialties or anything on the side, if you're interested in coaching, helping out with a club, anything like that. And then within independent schools, if there's anything specific that you're looking for. So we work with all different types of schools, whether that be a day school or a boarding school. Some are single sex, some have outdoor education programs, some are focused around STEM or arts. So really, and Becca can talk a little bit more about some other ones that we work with as well. But those are just some general overviews. So we really just get to know exactly what it is that you're looking for, so that when our jobs start coming in, we're best able to show you the ones that really align with what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anya, I want to go back a little bit, talk like a little bit deeper about independent schools, since
Yeah.
we just started talking about them, and I feel like it's a good time to talk about it. So what is an independent school? It's a privately funded program, typically by some sort of board or fundraising team. There tend to be smaller schools. They're schools of all shapes and sizes, though. So you can have some sort of religious affiliated to them. They could be boarding versus a day. They might be single sex or co-ed, but they don't tend to follow government like Common Core curriculum. There's a lot of flexibility in the curriculum that you get to teach and the work that you get to do. There is no requirement for licensure or certification. Schools are mostly focused on your want to teach, your enthusiasm for teach, and your experience in that subject area. So if you're like someone who has a PhD in science or biology or whatever it is, you're probably pretty versed in your subject area. So it's up to you to decide, do you want to teach? And even if you don't have your licensure, you might be really attractive to a school or a private school because you have all this expertise, and now it's a matter of just getting you in front of the students. Anna, do you want to talk about what CSNA does, or do you want me to?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit diving into our role as Carney Sandoe and how we really will help you on your job search. So I think that the thing that is great about Carney Sandoe is that, one, we're a free service for you, the job seeker. And again, like working one-on-one with you to really understand your goals and what you're looking for in a position. And then we serve as an advocate for you during this job process. So once we send you opportunities that align with what you're looking for, you'll be able to review those positions and let Becca or your placement associate know which ones that you're interested in. And then we'll send your materials to the school. And if that is a position like that, one of the opportunities that we send you is like the one that you really want, or, kind of putting your resume, as Becca had mentioned, kind of on the top of the pile, really advocating for you on that in the process, since we do work very closely with the schools and have contacts at the schools that we work with. We're best able to kind of advocate for you and be that network for you within independent schools. And if you want to dive deeper into that overview, Becca, but I think that, yeah, just really being here as an advocate and help showing you everything that's out there, because the job search can be really overwhelming, and you might not know where to begin or what positions are out there. So we really just bring it all to you.
Yeah, it's our job to be your like hand holder, your consultant. So as much as you want to utilize us, we're happy to be there for you throughout the job process. That's our job, is to just help you find a job. We work with about 1,000 schools across the country. There are about 100 abroad. It's definitely abroad is a smaller clientele of ours. But it's about 1,000 throughout the country, and we'll eventually talk about like our conferences and how you can meet with them. But we work with just a lot of different opportunities that have a lot of different jobs and really cool things. And you know, it's 1,000 schools. There's a lot of people that you could be networking with, and that's our job, is to help you network with these schools, make these connections, and then eventually land something that is somewhere that you love to be. There's something else I was going to say, but I forgot. So they'll pop up to my head.
If we can go back and see. And yeah, I guess to dive in what schools look for, and I'll go in a little bit further. It is a little bit deeper into the slides of like resumes and different things like that. But I would say for general is a bachelor's degree in since they don't require teaching certification or a license, they do, however, require a bachelor's degree in that subject area or a related subject area that you're interested in teaching. Of course, if you have a master's or a PhD, also phenomenal, just showing that you have a strong knowledge in that subject area and background. Any sort of teaching or tutoring or mentoring experiences that you've had working with kids, babysitting, camp counseling, if you helped coach or, you know, assisted in you helped coach like a middle school team, something like that is great. Or if you played on a team and you were the captain, and so you had some leadership roles. Same thing if you were in a club, anything like that, showing that you have community engagement, that you want to be a member of a community. Those are things that schools look for, because when they hire their teachers, they want someone that's going to really join in on that community and be a part of what that school has, because each school, as we mentioned, is really unique and really special and has their own community. So they're really looking for someone that to jump in, to be a part of their community, and that has some background in being involved in a community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very much all-hands-on-deck experience for the majority of private schools. Of course, you have your schools where, yes, you're there from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then you're gone, but that's tends not to be the case with the schools that we work with. You're either coaching, or you are in some sort of after-school club, or you're doing extra work throughout the day. It's not just a teaching job and then you go home. Maybe it's dorm duty or whatever it is. And that's what schools really want. They want you to want to be there. They want you to want to be part of the community, to feel like you know the kids both in and out of the classroom. And that's what they're looking for. And it's our job to help, find that match for you. So one of the things that, I forgot to mention, because that oftentimes we'll get a job in, and let's say, there's a school in Indianapolis that's looking for, someone who can teach math, and they're really looking to start like a baking club. All right, so maybe you've never taught math before, but maybe you're really into baking, and now they're willing to take a chance on you because you can do these extra things. So that's one of the benefits about being at a private school, is there are many ways and many different shapes that you can be to fit into what they're looking for, and it allows for that flexibility. If maybe you check some boxes but not all the boxes, schools are willing to go back to process, Anya.
Oh yeah, sorry, you had just cut out for a second, Becca.
Oh.
Okay. Did you?
Sorry, I don't know where I kind of. You want to go to the process?
Oh, I think you were just wrapping up, so I wasn't sure. You were talking about, or from what I heard, was a school in Indiana looking for a math teacher that also is starting a baking club, and that you might not have had something in your resume or.
Oh, okay. So I'll just quickly repeat. Hopefully you all can hear me. Anya, please tell me if I cut out again. My Wi-Fi is being a little funky. But essentially what I was trying to say is that you might not check every single box, but that's okay. Schools are looking for the right person who can fit like these random molds. And that's our job, is to learn so much about you and things that you can do both in and out of the classroom, and then help you find those jobs and those connections that maybe you wouldn't see just on a typical position description.
Right. Exactly.
Let's move to process now. I think would be a good time.
Yes, perfect. So yeah, going over right now is the info session, and then meeting with either myself or one of the members of the placement team to have kind of that first initial conversation to get to know you and what you're looking for. And getting to know, like, if you are interested in baking or have any sort of cooking experience or interested in chess or something. And then really working on that profile. So we have an application that we and have you fill out. This really creates a profile for you where you'll be able to upload your resume, transcripts, a personal statement, references, and any other documentation that you want to share with the school. And then this is also where the job referrals that Becca or members of the placement team will send you so that you will be able to review those opportunities. So everything kind of lives in this, when you fill out the application, kind of lives in this portal. And so that's this is a good time to work on that up until kind of like after the first of the year is when those job opportunities start to come out from the schools. They get to know what positions that they might have available, what teachers haven't re-signed their contracts, and if anyone is planning to leave. So that's kind of when we start seeing those opportunities, and we'll start sending them to you. And this is also when we start having our hiring conferences. We have our DEIB forum that I will get into more information with, but we have our DEIB forum in Philly that we have every year at the end of January. More information to come, but that is a really great one for you all in Pennsylvania. So that one's a really wonderful time to network and meet with some of the schools and hear about the positions that they may have. And then continuing to work with us, review and apply to jobs, also fellowship opportunities, and then kind of interviewing with the school. And if Becca wants to provide more information exactly on how jobs are sent or how how you review and apply to the certain jobs at the schools. But everything kind of with the interviewing and everything is set up through the school. But if you want to jump into more detail about that, Becca.
Yeah, absolutely. And Anya, please interrupt me if I cut out again. I don't want people listening.
Will do.
So the one thing I'm just going to add to what Anya was saying beforehand, if you're someone who needs a deadline and you're thinking about being in private schools or teaching or just want our help, give yourself a deadline of filling out the application by Thanksgiving week. Once you get up and running, we can be the person who can help you with future deadlines. But until you get the application up and running, we don't really know who you are quite yet. So if you need a deadline, Thanksgiving would be a good time to just have in the back of your mind. But for the process and kind of what we do on our end, as I mentioned, we work with about 1,000 independent schools. We are subject specific, so I run all of our history searches. There's a math team, a languages team, science team, et cetera, so on. When we hear about a position opening, we'll get on the phone with the school and talk through them about what the position description says and what those soft skills might be. As I was mentioning, maybe it's baking, or maybe they need a soccer coach or someone who can live in the girls' dorm, whatever it is that you might just not see on position description. That's when we'll send the position over to you. So simultaneously, as we hear about the position and the schools, we're also doing these interviews with you. We're going to talk about those a little bit later, or maybe like the next slide or so, what that interview looks like. But there's very informal first round interviews. It's us trying to get to know you and who you are, what you want to do, what you have done. And so those two things are simultaneously happening. Once we get the position in and we feel like it's a really good match for you, we'll send it over to you, and you get to make the final decisions on any time we send your materials to the school. Do you want to apply? Do you not want to apply? Does this look good? Does it not look good? Whatever it is, it's up to you from there. And with us consulting along the way. So if you decide this is a great position and I know I need to send a cover letter to the school, but I need some help on writing a cover letter, or what are some things I should highlight, that's when you can come back to us and say, Becca, what is the school looking for? How can I strengthen my application as best it can be? And that's where we come in and can consult along the way. And my job can help consult at any point in the process, any point from writing a cover letter all the way to talking through like negotiations and what a contract should look like and what you should be expecting in a contract. I can help with every part of that process. So as Anya had mentioned, it's a free service. So I think that's pretty nice to have someone who's in your corner for free. And that's, it's always good to have just extra eyes on things too. But I'll switch it back to Anya because we talked a little bit about the DEIB forum, which is a really cool conference. And she's going to talk about all of our conferences. Again, it's another way to get in front of the schools. So I'll turn it back over to her.
Yeah.
If I can hop in, we have a couple questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one is, do independent schools petition for H-1B sponsorship for international students?
Very rarely do independent schools do any sort of sponsorship for visas. Now, I don't know all the specifics of the different types of visas, but typically you have to get the visa on your own before getting the job at the independent school.
Okay, thank you. Someone's asking what type of teaching materials are usually required for a strong application?
Yeah, so we're gonna jump into a little bit of that. I think that we have some, but I guess for general overview, yeah, if you have, depending on your background, what degree you have, and just really having the like any sort of experience either in the classroom, teaching assistant, tutoring, mentoring. If you don't have like necessarily in the classroom experience, just anything where you have worked one-on-one or working with a group, working with kids, working with the age group maybe that you're interested in, that those are really strong if you don't have that like in the classroom teaching experience. But if you were a teaching assistant for during your undergraduate, or if you're your master's degree, PhD, anything like that, if you have been tutoring, mentoring, anything like that is really very strong. And that's something that can be applied, seeing that can be transferable to the classroom. And then again, if you have any coaching experience or clubs, or, even throw it back even as far as if you were in high school and you you played sports, or if you were in clubs and then you did some things in undergrad, or if you volunteer in your community, or you're a member of your local church and you volunteer there. So those sorts of things, again, like really emphasis on like any sort of community engagement, anything that you're really like a member of your community. If you have any sort of that transferable teaching experience, really like working with kids, anything that hits kind of those things, again, like camp counseling is great. Those types of things. And it can go as, as wide as like from high school experience, or even if you're like, oh, I've been babysitting, I babysat for 12 years starting in middle school, things like that, that you might not think to add on, a resume, or you think maybe it's, experience that was a really long time ago. Also, you can always talk to myself or Becca. We're happy to like review your resume. That's when we like really get to know you after like our one-on-ones, view your resume, get to know like some experiences. And if you don't have things listed on your resume that we might think would be helpful. So really working with you to best put together all of your experience to really highlight you as a great candidate.
You're just asking a clarifying question. So there's no need to prepare a syllabus as a part of an application.
Not for us. I don't believe for applying to schools, Becca, but I'm not as familiar.
No, Anya's correct. So you would not need to prepare a syllabus for us. Almost every school at the time of a final round visit will have you on campus and doing a demo lesson. That's when you would need to have some sort of lesson syllabus, I guess not a full syllabus, but just like a lesson plan prepared. And the school and us can talk through what at the time, like what does that look like? What's the topic on? What's the student population looking like? How are you going to set this up? But at the very beginning of the process, you do not need any sort of lesson plan or syllabus. You don't need.
There's some other questions in there, but I think you may get to them. So keep going.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, so to go over our DEIB hiring conference, this is the one that I'm highlighting just because it is in the same state as UPenn. So it is our interviewing and professional development. So this is a really great conference because there is professional development attached to it. It's on a Friday and Saturday, January 31st and February 1st. Free to attend if you are a Carney Sandoe applicant or candidate, I should say. And so sorry, I don't know how this, let me move this over. Okay. So some things to highlight. So you interview with multiple schools really easily and efficiently all in one place. So you'll once you are a candidate with us, there's like a way to register that our placement team will like send you kind of that information and get you registered to attend. And then we have a kind of like a portal for the separate hiring conference that Becca can definitely get into a little bit about like how interviewing goes with the schools and how you set up how your schedule gets set up. And then again, like meeting with your placement team to strategize about your search. And you can, in between your interviewing, maybe attend some of the professional development opportunities that we have specifically around DEIB. And then this is, again, just a really great way to practice your interview skills, interviewing with schools, seeing what it's all about. So this is our first conference of the year. And then after that, we have our Boston conference. And we also have New York, DC. We have our West. So it'll be out in either LA or San Francisco. And so those are some of our other ones, and everything will be listed on our website as well. But this is the big one that I want to highlight. It's our biggest conference, or one of our biggest conferences with Boston.
Yeah, I think you got it. The way I like to compare conferences is like speed dating with schools. You get in a big room, there's a lot of schools all sitting at tables, and you have 30-minute first round interviews with a lot of schools all in one day. And it's a chance for you to interview with them and just, sell yourself, but it's also a chance for you to have them sell to you. Is this a school or, place that you would want to be as well? But yeah, I think Anya also just kind of hit everything else.
Great.
Something else.
Quick question about the program in Philadelphia. It says forum/DEIB. Do you need to be a diverse candidate or is it open to any candidates?
Open to any candidates.
Okay, great. Just for clarification. All right, go ahead. One more question that a student asked, which I thought was really good, is are schools transparent about salary upfront, or at what point might you be told what the salary range might be for a position? How transparent are they? That's what they're asking.
Yeah,
it's
a great question. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh no, I was going to hand it over to Becca because she tends to have some of the job descriptions. But
recent years, a few states have made it a requirement, like law, that you have to post salary ranges on position descriptions. California and New York are the two big ones that I have on the top of my head. I think actually Massachusetts is maybe starting that in 2025 as well. However, if you are not a state or your school is not in a state that requires it, they tend to be a little bit hidden throughout the process and might not bring it up till the very end. But that's where we can help you with and give you some sort of range. We can't predict what it is, but we do have data and what other schools in the area might also be paying for, what this school has previously paid and whatnot. And we can help set some expectations for what they're offering or what we think they might offer based off of their endowment, the school size, your level of education or what your experience looks like. Just generally, day schools tend to pay more than boarding schools just because boarding schools offer room and board as part of their compensation package. And then typically if the salary is not where you'd like it to be, it's mostly because there are some sort of benefits package that tends to be a little bit nicer. And because they're private schools and they're not government funded, there's no sort of salary scale. So if it's not exactly where you would like it to be, there is room for negotiation.
Great.
I hope that answers that question.
Great. Thanks, Becca. Continue. So some things to review or kind of go over when highlighting all of your skills on a resume. Just really keeping it really plain, clean and simple. One page, but you can definitely do 2 pages, but we just asked to make it 2 full pages. We asked for it to be skimmable, have your name kind of big, contact information, and then putting all of your experience in reverse chronological order, so your most recent. And of course, like your education, we would love, and then within that, if you have any, we say sometimes with some of the majors, so say if you're like a philosophy major or a sociology major, you're interested in teaching maybe a social sciences, just showing that coursework that you have, that you have that education and background in that subject matter. So you can highlight coursework underneath your education. Of course, like any work, volunteer experience, any awards, leadership experience, and experience with kids, all fantastic. And then some things that schools look for, just to go over again, the degree in that subject area of interest, your experience with kids, whether it's teaching, tutoring, camp counseling, babysitting, that sort of thing. And then you can, of course, add any of your like skills, and you can have it as like baking or cooking or tennis, or if you have any extracurricular interests, that this is also a great place to put them, just because you never know if they're like looking for someone to start a book club, or you worked at the newspaper at your school, or you're an orientation guide. Those are all really amazing things to add. And if you have any questions about like, oh, is this something that I should add, you can always run it by us, and we can help you on that.
One thing that I see often is like folks who, have a lot of these like publications or research or other thing conferences that are really, really cool and like you're really proud of. And I get it. I know you're really proud of it. Unfortunately, that tends not to be the focus for schools. So you really want to have your teaching experience, the first thing that maybe the second thing, but right on the front page should be your teaching experience. And then below, if you want to add, a select list of, your publications or your research or some other things that you've done, which again, I'm sure are very cool. You can add that to the second page, but like a full CV that's like 7 or 8 pages is not what a school needs. They just want a classic 1 or 2 page resume that focuses on your teaching, your kid, your student experience, no matter how formal or informal it is, that's what they want you to show.
Thank you. And then, just kind of going over a little bit of our interview process with CSNA, definitely a little bit more of an informal structure, very informational, kind of giving you that overview. So some things that we ask are like, why are you interested in teaching? What kind of drives you to independent schools? Your experience with children, if you have, what your geographic preference is, and what kind of goals that you have for yourself, and then of course like any extracurriculars that you're interested in, or how you want to be a member of the community with the schools, and then with the schools, definitely more formal, but some similar questions, like what, and maybe Becca can also, if there's anything else that she wants to add, but some major ones like why you want to be an educator, maybe why that school, why do you love your subject area, and like what are some things that you like want to bring to the school and how you want to teach that subject area, some maybe some background on that, and why do you enjoy working with children, and why do you want to be a teacher and working at their school, maybe that grade level, whether it's middle school or high school, elementary as well, and then how you can play a role in the school outside of the classroom. So like Becca had mentioned, not typically like your 7 to 3 teaching job and then going home, really being a member of the community, whether you're helping with the band or a sport or like meeting with students one-on-one, having office hours or things like that. But again, we can, our placement team can offer guidance and support prior to your interview, and happy to do so. Anything else that you want to add to that, Becca?
No, I think you got it. And I think that like last little italicized part is kind of key, is that we know the people that you're interviewing with. We probably spoke to them that day and know what they're gonna, you know, ask or want to talk about. So please feel free to reach out to us. We are truly a partner in your search. So if you choose to come on board, feel like, please call, email us, let us know where you're at, what you need help with. You know, it's our job to help you find a home for you. So yeah, we're here.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so kind of wrapping it up,
Sorry, go for it.
okay, great. And so just to kind of wrap it up before our Q&A, our mission really is to understand your professional and personal goals, so we can find those opportunities that really align with what you're looking for, and so that you can join a community where you'll thrive.